And thank you. Charlie Turner.
How's it going, guys?
Good. Friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me both your ears because you're going to need both of them tonight. We've got a whole lot of things going on, and we want you to be a part of it. Come in, make comments, ask questions, be a part of this show tonight. And whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, thank you for taking the time to tune in and be with us tonight. Share, 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 and share some more. Whatever, however you work those devices, work them, and get this thing out there to everybody, near, far, and wide, because you're in for a real delight. I want to do tonight what we did when we had JT and Terry Lee Clark on with us. One of my favorite verses in all of Scripture, in Psalms 46:10, simply says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth." So, for the time that's allotted to us tonight, let me give you an Espanol translation. Sit back, be still, listen, not only hear, but listen and know that he's God. We're going to have a delightful time tonight. My friend, co-host, Ed Temple out of Columbus. Ed, how are you doing?
You didn't say sidekick, so I'm a little bit better.
There you go.
I moved up the ranks, George.
And there's Terry Lee. She said, "Hi, George, Ed, Ricky. Thanks for tonight's show." That's no problem. Thank you. And Ricky Borba.
Yes.
My, oh, my. Seems like I've known him for at least 50 years already.
Absolutely.
It's been a delight. We've had fun off the air. We're going to have even more fun on the air. So welcome, Ricky. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm honored to be here. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now. Thank you.
Ricky, tell us a little bit about yourself before we go any further.
Sure. Grew up in the Bay Area, California. Big, gigantic Star Wars fan, as you guys can see behind me. I've got some life-size props here. Married, 5 kids, a dog. My college degree is in pastoral ministries and theology, and I was put on this earth to make movies. That's who I am in a nutshell.
It doesn't get more simpler than that.
Yeah.
5 kids, a wife, a dog.
Yep.
Wow. May the cloud of insanity descend slowly down upon you.
I don't know if you could hear my son. I've got 4 daughters and a son. My son is crying in the background. So just in case you're wondering, is that a baby crying? Yes, he's almost 3. So that's him.
You got 1 son and what? 4 daughters.
4. I went girl, 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 boy, girl.
Oh, God bless that young man.
I know. George, I'm going to need to borrow some money for some weddings in about 10 years, if you don't mind.
If I'm still around, look me up.
Okay.
Because you're definitely going to need it.
That's right.
Ricky Borba, the film director for My Brother's Crossing.
Yeah.
Let me go back here real quick. And if you were with us back in June, it was back in June already, Ed. I mean, that's how fast time goes by. When we had JT and Terry Lee Clark on, they wrote the book In the Blink of an Eye, Forgiveness in Black and White. And then that book ended up being turned into a movie, My Brother's Crossing.
Yeah.
And we have the film director right here with us tonight, live and in person. If you didn't get a copy of this book, please go to My Brother's Yeah, come on, Espanol. MyBrothersCrossing.org and get you a copy. We had one in our family. I'm not so sure where it's at now because it just keeps circulating around. I've had friends and family. They got copies, and theirs is circulating all over the place. So do yourselves a favor and get this in the blink of an eye. Go to mybrotherscrossing.org, and there you can get you one.
Yes, sir.
Ricky, there's a lot of moving parts in making a movie. But how in the world, first of all, tell us how from a book to a movie, I mean, that's got to be a colossal venture in and of itself, right?
Absolutely. I think the story for this goes that there were multiple producers that contacted JT and Terry Lee to make the film. Tony and Edna White, who ended up doing it, were the only two, as I understand it, to say and do the right things and to offer themselves as servants to JT and Terry Lee in terms of, we want to help get this made as much as you do. We don't want a bunch of things from you. We want to partner with you. And so that's why they were chosen. And then Edna wrote the script from the book.
And then, as they say, I guess the rest is history.
That's right.
Once somebody wrote the script, was it Tony's wife who wrote the script?
Yes, Edna. Uh-huh.
Once she wrote the script, how did all of you fellas, guys and gals, be drawn into this thing? I guess Tony was the guy that reached out to all these people and so on and so forth. Yeah,
that's a big question. So I'll tell you how I came aboard and what happened from the moment I came on board. So I did a film called The Talking Tree. I directed it in October and November of 2018. Star-studded cast, Oscar nominees, Golden Globe winners, just a phenomenal cast. About 4 months later in April, if memory serves, I got a call from Tony, and he said, hey, one of your actors, and I believe it was Robert Lasardo, Robert Lasardo said that he really enjoyed himself on your set, and we need a director for this film, My Brother's Crossing. We're shooting in like 3 weeks. Would you be willing to come out to, I'm in California, would you be willing to come out to Virginia and meet with us? And I said, well, yeah, send the script. So they sent the script. I love the script. I hopped on a plane. Now this is where it gets crazy. The film was not cast in its entirety when I got to Virginia. So one of my days there was an open casting call where we ended up casting, I think, 95% of the rest of the film. We picked out some more locations. I flew home for 4 days, then flew back to Virginia, and we began filming on May 20th, 2019. I ended up bringing some actors from California that had worked with me on some other projects. We were finalizing some locations while we were filming. God bless JT and Terry Lee doing that. And then it was just an 11-day absolute, I don't know what to say other than it was just madness, good madness, shooting 12, 14, 16 hours a day. Thank God we shot it in Virginia, because a lot of the things we ended up being able to do, we would not have been able to do in California. My favorite thing to point to is they actually closed down the courthouse for us to shoot all day long there. Now, if I walk into any California courthouse and I say, hey, we need to shoot here tomorrow or even next week, I need you to shut it down, I'm going to get laughed in my face and they're probably going to find me. So shooting out there in Virginia with those lovely folk really, really paid off for us. And by God, we got the film done. And I think we got it done like 2 hours ahead of schedule, if I don't say so myself and pat myself on the back there. We had a great team. And now you can definitely hear the babies crying in the back because they're out of their rooms.
That's all right. Kids are supposed to be kids.
That's right.
Edward?
Yeah, well, first I'd like to do a little backtrack, since it was the Talking Tree that sort of led to Ricky moving to this movie. Let's, if you don't mind, George, let's pull this video up here.
All right.
Talking Tree. Let's see if I can get her to play. Okay. No, that's not it. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Is it ever okay to steal food to feed your family? You have such a good heart, but stealing is never the right thing to do.
If God is all good and you out of all people will be the last person in this position. How bad is that? These medications are only prescribed for terminally ill patients. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you. These drugs are running out on your mother's insurance. My client, he's a good man.
Your client robbed a bank.
I'm so sorry.
Mr. Petros, you are hereby sentenced to a maximum of 5 years in federal prison.
You really love Christmas, huh?
Special things are going to happen this time of year.
You You are mine now, daddy boy.
Isolation is the oldest form of torture.
We have some church folks come in here and deliver some gifts. I'll be escorting both of you to the cell block. I'm disappointed you're here, Sanchez.
Club 146! Party time's over, ladies.
She got me much, Danny. I'm so sorry, my friend.
She said to tell you the magic is back and the tree is talking.
I heard what that girl from the church said to you.
Maybe it's not such a coincidence that you're in the cell next to me, huh? The only thing that makes sense in this world is friends, man. And family.
It's all about easing George's pain.
Just ask you for a chance to see her one last time. You have to believe that we're going to see your mother together. There's been on this day in the city of David, a savior. That's what Christmas is all about.
It's the magic tree.
Running out of time.
My hands are tied. We're not finished.
You need to clean yourself up and start acting like a husband and a father.
Tell her the ones last night. She's got to hold on just a little bit longer. My son will be here.
You're my brother, man. I love you. I'd say you did something really nice tonight.
Wow. Wow.
So
I'm really proud of that film, guys, as I am my Brother's Crossing, but really proud of that Talking Tree film.
I don't blame you one bit.
Thank you.
I can see that. That's going to bring some tears to some people's eyes.
Well, that's the thing. So I get the script for my for the Talking Tree in May of 2017. In July of 2007. So the Talking Tree, as you saw in the trailer, is about a woman who gets cancer, played by Golden Globe winner, Oscar nominee Sally Kirkland. She gets cancer. Danny, played by George Stoltz, freaks out, robs a bank, gets caught, goes to prison. And will he get out of prison in time to see his mom one more time before she passes away? I get that script in May. July of 17, my own mom calls me, who was as close to me as a mom and a son could ever be, and says, I have stage 4 liver cancer. And she was gone 6 weeks later. So I was able to rewrite the portions of that script with Sally Kirkland's character to be exactly what my own mother was telling me as she was going through chemo and her cancer treatment. And 95% of what Sally Kirkland says in that film is what my mom said to me. And Sally says it to her son in the film. So I put my heart, mind, and soul into that film. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be special when it comes out during this holiday season.
Wow. Wow.
So that film there led to the My Brother's Crossing.
Yes. So Robert Lasardo, who plays Mouse in the Talking Tree, knew Tony and Edna, and I guess they were in conversation. And Tony said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a director for my latest film." And Robert said, "Hey, I had a really good time on the Talking Tree with this new director named Ricky Borba. You should give him a call." And that's how it happened. So it really is true, that old adage, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And thankfully, Robert was kind enough to mention my name to Tony. And as George said a little while ago, I forget if we were off air or not, but the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. Yeah. Which leads us to this, Ed. Let's see if Espinlab can get this right. You know him when it comes to this. But here's the latest trailer of My Brother's Crossing. And as far as we know, as of this hour, this movie is going to open up in theaters across the nation, as far as the states allow them to, on September 3rd. So we're only what, 6, 7, 10 days out, something like that. Yeah, so something like that. This is the latest trailer right here.
I'm afraid to drive. I'm J.T. Clark. Well, it's good to know you, Mr. Clark. My condolences to you. I feel like at any moment somebody is going to attack me.
You're going to have to develop a personal relationship with our Savior, Jesus Christ.
Dad!
Lord, lift me up.
I'm in pain, my dad. Haven't I served you? Why are you doing this to me?
She was adamant about seeking a vehicular manslaughter charge against Miss Martin.
Baby, everybody knows. People know it wasn't your fault.
Tell that to the deceased, to their families, to my son.
I haven't forgiven him. I want the guy prosecuted.
I think you mean persecuted.
That's just the way it goes.
In theaters.
Wow.
Yep.
September 3rd.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In theaters. It
Yeah.
was what? It was scheduled to go like July 31st. April.
Then July, then my mom's birthday. Then it's been 4 different times, I think.
And now we're down to within 10 days or so.
Yeah.
Of it opening. We'll just keep praying, holding our breath.
Me too.
These Christian movies, there's you're starting to see more and more of, the big name actors.
Yeah.
Some I don't necessarily think I like necessarily going to Christian movies like Tom Arnold. I'm a little skeptical on that.
Yeah. Right.
But anyways, yeah, you can see that there's definitely a market, and the people want to see these types of movies, and it's they're wholesome. I give you an example. It's like they got all these series, these different series, and on Netflix, and they're just not very wholesome at all. It's just even you're wanting to watch it, and you're like, oh my goodness, I have to compromise myself here to watch this.
Yeah.
And it's just and it may be a little trickle here and a trickle there of bad values, but it's just people want to they would much rather have something like the Christian movie that has a lot more to offer.
I agree with you, and the thing I'm most proud of in this film is the performances by these top actors. I mean, Daniel Roebuck, Marsha Dietland, Joe Estevez. I'm talking about My Brother's Crossing, James Black, Tyree Brown. They are incredible actors from mostly secular films and TV shows, and they come to this film and bring an air of weight to the roles that were incredible. And that is what I am most proud of in these films, is the performances.
Ricky, this tragic accident happened in August of 2015?
Yes.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So we're like 5 years to the month since this has happened.
Yeah.
Have you ever, in your experience, seen and I mean, you had eyeballs on this thing from the beginning, and you were intertwined with this thing. Have you ever seen anything that had such an effect on hundreds, if not perhaps thousands of people?
In terms of film?
Yes.
I personally, no. I mean, you can go back through the archives of history and say, yes, there's been big films that have connected with people. But me personally, to work on a project like this that was a true story, no way. Now you look at it, and this film was supposed to come out last Thanksgiving, and we missed the boat. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, we missed the boat. And now it's coming out when this country needs it the most.
Mm-hmm.
What was relevant 5 years ago is relevant now. And I believe that above all else, people will walk out of this film feeling like there can be restoration and reconciliation between these racial lines, because there shouldn't be any in the first place. We're all made in God's image. Doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. So my hope and dream and prayer is that when people leave the movie, that they enjoyed themselves, obviously, but they think to themselves, you know what, if that's a true story, and it is, then why can't our community and our church and our people come together? So I don't want to ruin the ending or the surprise. I know some people have read the book, but I want you to see it. But what happens in that movie is 100% true. And I believe it's gonna shake people to their core, and they're gonna be moved to do things differently and better.
You shot a lot. Well, you shot all of it there in Virginia.
Yeah.
You shot where the accident took place and so on and so forth. What was the feeling like when you were shooting the film at the actual places that these events took place?
It's interesting. I've been to Italy, and I was able to walk around these biblical places that, Paul was in, and Pompeii, where historical events happened and millions of people died. I won't say it had the same, but when you're on the street that Bobby and Pam passed away on, and you are shooting a scene where the truck is on top of a motorcycle and two actors and their legs are underneath the truck, there are no room for jokes. There's no room for people screwing around or not doing their jobs right, or the lighting guy messing up. There is a sense of ownership among everybody that you don't want to screw this up. And so there were a few places that happened. There was, the accident scene, the courthouse, obviously the funeral was a big one. And so for me as the director, it's there's something, I can't think of the term, the President of the United States has it, the burden of, I can't remember, but there's that burden that I had of directing this film correctly so that everything was balanced. The humor, the seriousness, the invitation to find out who God is, everything had to be balanced correctly. And for me to get out there a week before we started filming and for the film to turn out the way it did is only attributed to God, because it's not me and it's not JT and it's not the actors and it's not the writing. It's only God. So there is that sense of you have that burden that you want to do this right for everyone involved.
So this isn't one of those cheesy Christian movies.
I refuse to do that, Ed. I refuse to be a part of that movement. I actually have, I won't name names, but I've had talks with producers and writers and directors of faith-based films that I feel like are, and these are very successful faith-based films, that I feel are so far-fetched in their dialogue and their story that I wouldn't take my non-Christian friends to see them because they would look at me like this kind of conversation never happens, nor should it. So when we did The Talking Tree and when we did My Brother's Crossing, one of the things I asked both producers was, are you going to allow me to kind of tweak some of this dialogue to be more realistic in the conversations I have? Because I don't walk around with a Bible in my hand and I don't walk around thumping people over the head quoting verses when they're in trouble. I'm a real person. And Jesus Christ, what did he do first in every single story of him interacting with people? He always connected with them on a personal level. The woman on the well, Zacchaeus, he always connected with those people first where they were at before he taught. And so I don't ever want my films to be, you guys can tell my voice is raising, this is a big soapbox for me. I don't ever want my films to be preachy or unrealistic in that regard at all.
So where do you want to go from here with respect to, obviously what do you want to have to both of these films? Where do you think they should go, and what do they deserve to go? Where you see them ending up?
Well, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years, even 2 years ago, it was crazy for me to think that a guy who lives in Sacramento with no Hollywood connections can direct 2 Hollywood films that are going to be in theaters. So my expectations for both of these films are sky high because that's the expectations I have for myself. I'm not doing this on my own. If God's behind it, then it doesn't matter what is going on or who says it can't or it won't. It's going to go where God wants it to go. So I have extremely high expectations for both of these films, as well I do for the rest of my career. I want to direct a Star Wars film. I want to direct a big blockbuster film with cars blowing up and things like that. I mean, I have loved film since I was a little kid, so I don't see any reason why we can't do that. And I'll tell you guys this, one of the things I love to say is, as Christians, we should be on the forefront of creativity because God is the creator of creativity. We should not be trying to catch up to the secular world in terms of the music and the culture and the fashion and the films. We should be blazing trails. So I don't want to make Christian films that are on the heels of these successful films now, because in 3 years, they're just going to say, well, that film that Ricky did was, Fast and Furious 9. Why can't we come up with incredibly awesome ideas ourselves as Christians? I want to be a filmmaker who's a Christian, not a Christian filmmaker.
Okay, you got to explain the difference now.
Okay, so a Christian filmmaker is the guy that goes out there and makes his films very preachy and only for the church. And, even though this film's about death and this and that, we're not going to have any swearing. We're not going to have any gunshots. That's a Christian filmmaker. A filmmaker who's Christian can read his Bible and see that the Bible was rated R in many places, sometimes even rated, not for children at all in many places. So why can't we make films that have that same intensity, that have those same kind of scenes, but tell a positive, uplifting story while being true and real at the same time. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to skimp on details. I don't want to skimp on realism. And if the church doesn't want to see my film, that's okay. I want my films to be seen by people who need to see them, not by people who are going to complain about them because, a guy was smoking a cigarette or he said a cuss word. That kind of stuff doesn't make any sense to me.
What's amazing is the religious leaders of the time used to frown and give Jesus the look, because he would sit with the wine bibbers. That don't mean he would drink with them.
Yeah.
But he would sit with the wine bibbers. He would, like you said, he would meet people where they were, and he would minister to them.
Yeah.
And he said, if one is lost, if there's 99 in the fold and there's one out there on the hillside, the shepherd needs to go get them.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about. That's what the old rugged cross was all about. That's why Jesus came in the first place. What was it? What was it like to interact, Ricky, with the actual people that were involved, like Mike Price and Pastor Martin and everyone that was involved? What was it like to interact with those folks?
I don't want to use the word hard, but that was definitely the hardest part, especially the scenes where we were filming inside of the church of Pastor Martin. He's the one that, ran into Bobby and Pam and killed them. When we're in his church filming the scenes with the actor playing him, I talked a minute ago about that burden being there for me not to screw it up. When CJ and Conal are watching the scene get filmed and I'm seeing him whisper in his wife's ear, I'm thinking, what is he telling her? Am I having James portray this correctly? Is the scene lit properly? There was such a respect for wanting to do it right. So that I use the word hard, but it was also the most rewarding because as I understand it now, they have all seen the film and love it. And again, I'm not patting myself on the back. Here's the thing. I like to say this too. When Christians talk about the things they're good at, it's not bragging, because I'm not bragging that I'm a good film director. I'm saying God is a good film director using me. So if I say the film was directed well, I'm saying God directed the film. He just used me as a conduit. So I'm very proud when I see and hear that Mama Nancy and Conal and everybody else who were, JT and Terry Lee as well, they're happy with the film. That means more to me than the film getting rated 10 out of 10 from some critic I've never met. So the core people of that film that live in Virginia that this event's happened to, they are all in love with the film. And for me, that's a big sigh of relief.
Ed?
Yeah, I was going to say that definitely makes it more authentic when the actual people that play part of it in the story are there with you.
Yeah,
no question about it.
Yeah.
And so, what can you recall the scene that was maybe the hardest to do? Maybe emotionally.
I think the funeral scene was tough because if I remember correctly, it was the same place that they had the actual service. So with JT there, him watching a casket come through those doors again, and a man Daniel Roebuck portraying it, that was tough. There was a day I cried, and I try not to do that on set because you have to be the leader. But there was a day I cried from the weightiness of what was going on. I'll be thinking about that. I cannot for the life of me remember what day that was, but I was caught up in it, and it may have been the accident scene, but that was day one, and I don't think I cried on day one, but there was a lot of emotion to it because we filmed in 2019, just 4 years removed. So this is still fresh in the minds of the community, not let alone JT and Terry Lee and everybody involved. The community still there's newspaper articles that were coming out the week we were filming, like, hey, remember 14 seconds ago when this happened? They're making a movie about it now.
Mm-hmm. Is there any within the movie, has there anything that that was a life altering, when you made the movie, say, this has really changed me, I'm affected by this for good?
For sure. And that's the story of JT and what he did and how he came to do it, and his moment at the cross. So you know, I don't JT would mind me saying that, you know, before he accepted the Lord, he was a bit of a prickly bear. And so I could hear him laughing. I know he's watching. I know him and Terry Lee are watching right now.
Yep.
You know, so his transformation from when his brother passed to what he ended up doing, which is the crux of the film, for me, that gets me, because that doesn't happen. I have gone through some pretty gnarly things in my life, and I try to live out the whole, you know, forgive and move on. But when it's in your face like that, okay, so the vigil scene on day one was difficult for JT. Yeah, that was difficult for a lot of people. But you know, to know JT's transformation for me was like a definite sign that only God can do this kind of thing, because I can't give away the plot of the film, but it's just so miraculous what he did. That spoke to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it happened in 2015. You start shooting in 2019.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of open wounds and pain and heartache and sorrow and all those things.
Yeah.
I imagine, and I think you've already said it, that you were very impressed with all the people. I mean, I can just imagine walking into an area with a group of people that has went through this thing, and I would be literally awe-stricken at their attitudes, their love one for another. You want to talk about love, agape love,
mm-hmm.
demonstrated in the highest form. That had to be one of the greatest demonstrations of love that perhaps the world will ever see.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And that's the thing, when you're out there and these people are there, and you're walking into Mike Price's church, and you're walking into Conal's church, and you're walking into the funeral home, you know that this is still something that is affecting these people deeply. And the hard part about that is you're walking in as a director with 50 people behind you holding lights and cameras and actors and makeup and food, and you have to be respectful that these people are letting us use these places to film in, but we have to turn it into a set. Unlike a film like The Talking Tree, where it wasn't real, where we could walk, we filmed in a prison, and we filmed in a home, and a bunch of different places. We just walked in and had fun because it wasn't a true story. But when you're walking into Mike Price's church and they're giving the same sermon he gave, you want to tell and shake Mike's hand and say, hey, thanks for letting us be here. Thank you for letting us shoot. Thank you for letting us mess up your day. You know, I don't take it lightly. And so for me, that was always at the forefront of my mind, that we were being very graciously taken care of by these hosts.
There's a question, Ricky. Are you having a premiere?
So Mary Karsten is an old friend of my mother, and Mary, I will tell you, all across the United States on September 3rd, except in Delaware and California, there's no premiere here in California or Delaware. I am told that when we do open back up, there will be a premiere in California, and I'm assuming Delaware, because they will put the film out when these theaters open in this state. But September 3rd, nationwide, I forget how many cities, but it's truly a nationwide release. Thank you for your question, Mary.
Wow. Here's somebody. Oh, that's Alice. She said, hey, George, Ed, and Ricky, great show. Yeah, and to God be the glory for that. That's for certain. Yeah. These people that were involved in this tragedy, and I stay in touch with JT. In fact, JT spoke at Ed's church a month or so ago, wasn't it, Ed? But we stay in touch with him regularly, at least once a week, a couple times a week. What God has done with him through Terry Lee, and the ministry that they're involved in, and people are just, the movie isn't even out yet, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives have already been changed because of the book and because of their ministry.
Yeah.
Did you shoot the scene in jail at the jail?
No.
Was that a stage?
We were at the courthouse for 14 hours on that Tuesday, and we shot that scene on the top floor of the courthouse. We just manipulated some books and shelves to make it look like he was walking in. We got one of the sheriffs from the courthouse that was kind of our liaison that day. We just said, hey, you got to come in and be a part of this scene. And so that was a bit of movie magic, George.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. How long from beginning to end did it take you to do the whole shebang?
So we started filming May 20th, and I think we stopped filming June 1st or May 30th, or it was an 11-day shoot. I know that. But the pre-production, God knows how many hours JT and Terry Lee and Tony Edna spent writing and rewriting and producing and getting locations and things like that. But I'll tell you, because I started from day one on the Talking Tree and saw it all the way through, that was a 2-year process of getting the script dialed in, getting the locations, getting the actors, filming it, editing it, all that stuff. So, a typical independent film like this should be about 12 months. And then certain things happen and it takes longer. But I can imagine that they spent about that time on, now even longer, because that was, May of last year. Here we are in September. So at least 15 months that I can speak of. But the actual shoot was 11 days, and we were bell to bell, 12, 13, 14 hours a day.
Wow.
By the way, I will throw out a shout out to all of the film students from the school in Virginia that I cannot remember the name of, but we had a core crew of about 15 people. I call them kids. I'm 42. They're probably 20 something, but they were kids from the film school that not only knew their stuff, but were good at it and had a great attitude and stepped up in areas they normally wouldn't have had to have on a big budget film. So I just want to say thank you to all of them, to all the crew really, and all the cast. But that'll be a memory I'll take with me to the grave, is all those young kids from college just being wide-eyed and bushy-tailed on that set, willing to pitch in wherever they needed to.
Terry Lee, this film was emotional, but still has lighthearted moments that brings laughter into this amazing film. Thanks so much to Tony, Edna, Ricky, and the rest of the cast and crew.
Yeah.
Wow. Ed?
Yeah, what I'd like to do, George, see if I can pull that up. Let me see if I can find it. Where's the trailer that Ricky, you have some kind of things that you did with it?
The interview I did out there with the news station?
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. It is, let me look here. Let's see. Do you remember the name of, maybe you don't. Let's see if that it comes up like that. Oh man. I wish I could have, I wish I would have bookmarked it. I don't have it readily available.
I think I have it.
Okay, good.
I think this might not be it. This might not be it, but I'll check it out anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
Don't be scared, Ed. Just throw her up there.
Yeah, I'm going to. Let me see. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I don't think I have the right one, but I'll show this one anyway.
Okay.
This is only 1:43, so I know this isn't the right one.
Crowds gather Friday evening at these crosses on the side of the road across from Subway in Stanleytown, where an accident took place last Friday evening, taking the lives of Bobby and Pam Clark.
They've been married for 39 years. Bobby's like 20 years old when he got married, he told me. And so they was married longer as a couple than they was as individual singles on earth.
Bobby and Pam had just left Trash Ministries in Collinsville, where they attended service.
We decided this week we need to have some closure down there, and also for Pastor Martin. A horrible accident. He done nothing wrong. The road is very confusing up here, and it was a very awful accident. So we want to be here for him, remembrance service. But Pastor Martin know that we love him. We're standing with him. None of us, the bikers, are upset with him. None of the church folks are upset with him. We love him, and we want to show you in these last and evil days to be that remnant unto you, Lord, the light into this darkened world, that they may be drawn unto you. I thank you for your love. I thank you for your forgiveness. I thank you for your unity. I thank you for my brothers and my sisters. We come together right now in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. We as Christians are supposed to be quick to forgive, not to judge. And it's just a horrible accident, and they happen. It horrible yet, but no intent, no malicious intent whatsoever.
But now I see.
Pretty powerful there.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I had not seen that.
Incredible.
That looked like that was recorded maybe a day or so after the actual events happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, when what was it like to watch the actors and the real people interact with one another? I mean, did the actors really rely upon the actual individuals?
Yeah, there's a really cool picture of JT, Conal, and Mike Price standing with the actors portraying them. And it was the same photo that was taken in 2015. They recreated it, and then they put it together. That was really cool. But that was, for me, where I, as a director, would just let them have those sidebar conversations and say, whatever he said to tell you to do, I'll make sure it looks good on camera. But if he's telling you this is how he said it or how he moved, do it. And so it was really, really neat for me to see the actors interact with the real people. That's something special. I don't think that happens on a lot of films. And I was really, really, really fortunate that happened on our film.
That must be amazing, because I've read where in other movies, regardless of what they are, when that person would get the script, then they would try to put themselves in the person that they're going to portray, get in their head and the whole 9 yards, but they don't always have the opportunity to do it one-on-one, do they? Where in this case, it was all,
Yeah, you'll hear that actors may spend a day or two with their real life counterparts, but rarely, if ever, are those people on set giving advice and direction and interacting with the actors. And I found that to be really cool. I mean, maybe some directors wouldn't like that because maybe the director has such a specific vision in their mind for how they want the scene filmed. But I loved the fact that the real people were there on set. By the way, JT does have a blink and you miss it role in the film. And he probably shoot me for saying this, but he's in there. He is one of the firemen at the accident scene. And again, it was the same situation with me. I'm in the film as well. We were going to get this actor. Scheduling wasn't working right. I'm a former actor. Well, it's current. I mean, you never stop. So I said, hey, I'll just save the production some money. I'll throw myself in the role. So I have a bit part in the film. Well, we were trying to cast this firefighter guy, and I said, JT, you were there. Why don't you just do it? And I forget the name of the guy that JT portrays, but we have a running joke that JT is going to win an Oscar for his, blink and you miss it role in this film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Does with all these people involved, I find this thing from the time I read the book, met JT and Terry Lee, had them on the show, the whole 9 yards. I mean, this thing has just swallowed me up. I mean, for the last couple of months, it's just been constantly on my mind, and I'm sure it's been on Ed's mind, everybody's mind. But I just can't get over the fact that these folks, and you shot in their locations, these folks were hand in hand with your actors. What was the actors themselves? How did they, when they were interacting with these people, could you see that they really felt it? I mean, that they were connected with one another?
Yeah, for JT and Terry Lee with Daniel and Marcia, there was a camaraderie there. So that was a more easygoing relationship. There was joking and, elbowing, high fives, that kind of thing. And, there was a natural friendship there. For James Black and Beth Payne to play Conal and, oh man, I can't remember. I'm not even going to try. I'm going to butcher it. Conal's wife. And then for Tyree to play young CJ, they had not met previously. So that relationship was more of a, I know if you were to meet somebody who's a dignitary, like you want to be very respectful and have a handshake and look them in the eyes. That's how those relationships went. Because we only filmed with those few people for a couple days. JT and Terry Lee were on set every day, and I think there was only one of those days that Daniel and Marcia weren't. Out of 11 days, I think Daniel and Marcia were shooting for 10. So there was respect, there was admiration, there was thankfulness. But from the actors to the real people, there you go, Ken Ziegler, FD Chaplin, and I'm going to get shot for not remembering Conal's wife's name. It's a very unique name, and it's on the tip of my tongue. But there was a lot of respect there for those real life counterparts.
Edward?
Yeah. So I guess where you go with this is, what has been your difference in working with actors? Obviously, some of these actors are crossing over between secular acting and Christian movies. What do you notice about the quality of acting? I mean, do you see?
I love this question.
The Christian. Yeah, do the Christian movies seem to be transitioning in now? Or
well, I'll back you up even further. I've been involved in film since I was very little. Lived in the Bay Area, lived in Sacramento, have been on a slew of local indie films and TV shows, and I'm not even going to say half. 90% of the time, you show up on set as a director or a producer, and the actor you hired 6 months ago comes to the set. They don't know their lines. And they're like, well, I was drunk last night with my friend, or I was partying, or I had finals or whatever. And you're like, yeah, but you've had the script for six months. And there's a disconnect in the level of ownership for a role, for a lighting guy, for a camera guy. There's a big difference between a guy who does this for a living and a guy who went to Best Buy and bought a camera and, does it as a hobby. So having said that, The Talking Tree on day one being my first film, I'm in my mind thinking, man, what if these professional actors show up to set just like these other non-professional actors I work with and don't know their lines? It could not have been further from reality. These professional actors, whether they're faith-based or secular or whatever, this is their livelihood. They take it seriously. The lighting guy takes it seriously. The camera department, the producers, everybody takes it seriously. And there's a gigantic difference in leap in quality and talent when you go from a local, hey, let's everybody do this for free on a Saturday, to, hey, everybody's getting paid and this is going to be in theaters. So it doesn't matter really where. I know you asked specifically about actors and secular and things like that, but I found working with professional actors, they're professionals for a reason. They're working for a reason. They might not be the Tom Cruises of the world, but they're in 2 films a year for a reason. And that's because on the drop of a dime, at the drop of a hat, they can cry, they can laugh, they can be angry, they can take direction. I can go to Daniel and say, Daniel, I didn't read it that way. I don't see him really angry here. I see him disappointed. Okay, well, let me try it this way. Great, go do that. That's not what you get when you work in local productions, unfortunately. And that's not to slam any. I started out somewhere. There are people starting out now in Sacramento in the Bay Area. That is not a slam against people. I'm just saying, if acting, directing, writing, producing is something you want to do for a living, there needs to be a gigantic leap from hobby to this is my focus.
I have a question right on the tip of my tongue, and my 1/2 brain cell went dim.
There you go.
But as Ed says something, it might come back. It might come back. And then
okay.
So who is your obviously some of these guys that are like Daniel Roebuck, is that he's been in secular movies and some big name movies and things.
Yeah.
What do you? If he has his, do you know? I mean, is his preference to do Christian movies, or Is he enjoying it just as much or more, or what do we know about these guys?
I can speak for the 10, 13 baker's dozen actors I've worked with in my 2 films that are professional actors that have names you would recognize and faces you would recognize. And to a man and a woman, I believe they would all say, because they are more interested in the role than they are the film. If the role challenges them, I don't think they care if it's a thriller or faith-based. Maybe some actors will only do faith-based films. Maybe some actors will only do secular films. But I think by and large for actors, they're looking for a challenge. They're looking for something that has depth, and they're looking for a story that has meaning. And that comes out in all forms of film. And so I found that actors typically like to be challenged. They like to get direction from, I have 5 kids. My kids, even if they can't articulate it, the older ones can, they want direction. They want structure. I don't think any actor wants to show up on set and have free will to do whatever they want. So I think actors by and large want a challenge and want a role that is going to have some weightiness and meaningness to them. And that's what I think is true for them by and large.
That's what I wanted to ask you, and I should have asked you from the very beginning. What is the role of a director?
There's a great sentence on that on Wikipedia, and it says the director is the author of the film. So you think about a book, and the author wrote it, the author shopped it, the author probably thought of the cover. The director really is the creative force behind the film, because you're picking out actors, you're picking out music, you're picking out, in the editing, you're picking out cuts. You are really putting your heart, mind, body, and soul into how this film, as I'm pointing to my computer over there, because I've done a lot of editing on it, you are pouring yourself into this. So you really are the author of the film. So the job for when I'm on a set, on a true film set, the bad guy is the first AD. The first assistant director is the guy cracking the whip, making sure everybody's taking their lunch breaks on time, getting back to the set. The actors are where the director's job is to focus on the creative. Is this scene, is what I just saw in my monitor, is that conveying what I kind of thought I was going to have in my head when I read the script, a month to 6 months ago. So my job as a director is to foster an environment of creativity while lights are being moved, cars are being started, lunch is being served. I pride myself on being a guy that is even-tempered. I love everybody. I smile a lot. And that works to my benefit on a set, because if I do raise my voice or get pissed off, people are like, okay, this is serious. We need to stop. So my job is to foster the creative environment. And that's what I do, because even here's a great example. Doug Hutchison, who's in The Talking Tree, great role as Percy in The Green Mile. I called him about 2 weeks before we started filming. I said, Doug, this is my first film. What advice can you give me as a director? He said, Ricky, there are 2 types of directors in the world. There's the actor's director that was a former actor that is really intent on bringing the performances to screen. And then you have the Christopher Nolans of the world that are really into the gadgetry. How does the camera move here? What lens are we going to use here? What, editing program? And so I said, okay, well, that makes sense to me. I'm an actor's director. So that's how I direct. Maybe that's not right for every director, but for me, when I'm on a set, I want to have an incredible interaction with my actors. Werner Herzog, who's one of the best directors in the world, says, on a film set, everyone is treated equally until the cameras turn on, and the people, whoever you are in front of the camera, are treated like royalty. And that's really how I kind of model my film sets. While the camera's on, by the way. When the camera's off, those same actors are treated like everybody else. But I don't care if you're a janitor in the background sweeping of a scene, you're royalty for those moments that the camera is on you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. When while you were shooting this, and there were some horrific scenes that you had to shoot, and then there were some light moments also, but you sensed the burden. You said you sensed the burden of getting this thing right.
Mm-hmm.
In your spirit, deep down inside your spirit, did you just know when something clicked, when things fell into place, and you knew it doesn't get any better than this?
Absolutely. You're watching your monitor, you're watching the performance, and you know when it's clicking and when it's going well. And you don't need another take. You don't need to move the cameras. You don't need to move the light. You're like, that was amazing, James. That was Oscar worthy. Daniel, we don't need to do this again. Let's move on. Some directors, Terrence Malick comes to mind. They like to, shoot Stanley Kubrick, shoot, waste their actors, 192 takes till they get everything right. But when I'm watching a scene, I'm like transformed in that moment by that actor. I know we don't need to shoot again, because if I'm transformed as the viewer, then the people watching the film is going to be transformed. So yes, I would hope and think that a director does know when that's happening.
Edward?
Yep. So let's say my kid wants to do, he wants to get into the video production. What should he go to school to do?
First of all, I would say don't go to school for that at all whatsoever. I would say to buy a camera, buy a computer, go out, film your friends playing basketball, come home, edit that, show your family, take constructive criticism, go out, film it again. Just work. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Don't let technology limit you. Don't let lack of story limit you. When you are just starting out in this whole thing, your stuff is going to suck. It's just the way it goes. Just keep doing it and getting better. And then at some point you're going to say, wow, that stuff I shot 4 years ago is garbage, but man, this thing I shot today is really good. Or this thing I wrote, or this thing I directed, or this music I composed. I'm a big proponent of, we all need school, and up until 12th grade, I'm all for it. But in a field like this, I personally believe the best way to do it is hands-on. Get on a set, get on a local TV show that comes on at 3 a.m, watch the guys move the camera, learn from those kinds of people and work your way up the ranks. Some people are born at 20, they're going to be the greatest director in the world. But for most of us, we're going to have to learn and earn ourselves up the ranks. And I would say when it comes to filmmaking, when it comes to anything creatively, get out there and do it and have thick skin. Not everybody's going to love your stuff. Not everybody's going to love this movie. Not everybody's going to love The Talking Tree. That's just how it goes. My own kids don't love me half the time. I mean, you know how that goes. It's just, you have to get over that. And you just have to keep pushing through and saying, hey, I know the stuff I made 5 years ago doesn't hold a candle to what I made now. So I would just recommend they just keep going.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
In the blink of an eye. Forgiveness in black and white. And please go to mybrotherscrossing.org and get you a copy of this, because this is what the movie was based on. September 3rd. September 3rd. Prayers up, fingers crossed, hold your breath if you have to. But September 3rd is the go date in many theaters across the nation. Not all of them, not here in Delaware, not out there in California. Let's see if I can bring this thing up here, because there's a list of, if I can find it, here it is. If there's a list, let me see if I can do this right. Click on this.
I believe in you, George.
Yeah, I'm holding my breath. You got to hold your tongue just right when you do this stuff, or it just won't work. Okay, that.
Something's happened. There we go.
Okay, let me see if I think that's about as big as it is, but let me scroll up here to the top of it. Yeah, Maryland, Ohio, Tennessee, Texas, a lot of them in Virginia.
Yep.
Looks like we're going to have to scoot down that way for us to see it. But that's what they've got up there right now. So
I know in California is happening. I know in Nevada, just it's a matter of those theaters opening, but I do know those are on the slate as well.
Okay. That is September 3rd. Oh, that's most Ricky Tick. Terry Lee said the list is in development and not complete yet.
There you go.
And she also said, thank you so very much for this wonderful interview. We appreciate the time each of you have taken this evening to push this out for us. Now, it is our honor, our privilege to do this, Terry Lee. I mean, it is just, it's just wonderful, wonderful. If there's anything that has been God breathed upon, I believe it's been this movie.
Yeah.
And Ricky, I'm a firm firm believer that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. I believe that with all my heart. And we don't always understand where that path is going to lead us. But if we'll let God direct our steps on that path that he wants us on, doors will fly off their hinges. Maybe not immediately, but sooner or later, if God wants that door open, he'll take it right off the hinges.
Yeah.
He'll blow the whole frame out if need be.
Yep.
But this is a tremendous, tremendous movie. My Brother's Crossing. And ladies and gentlemen, right there, Ricky Borba, the film director of this incredible movie and others. Ricky, thank you so very, very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was an honor. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Ed,
About time somebody had fun.
what you got in closing, brother?
I was just going to say, George, about time somebody had some fun on this thing.
Yeah, there we go. I'll come back anytime, guys. I'll talk about recipes. I don't even care. I had a good time.
All righty. We get into recipes now. I'm lost. I can operate a nuke. I mean, a microwave. I call it.
There you go. There you go.
But when it comes to all that other stuff, I use Kentucky windage if I have to mix anything up. You know, a little dab of this, a little dab of that. But it's been an incredible night. Thank you so very, very much. Yeah. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen. Thank you so very, very much. Continue to push this thing out there. Get it out there. September 3rd, My Brother's Crossing. Look it up to see if it's available in your area. If this thing doesn't have you all shut down, locked up, bottled up, and all that good stuff, if the thing don't got you locked down and there's something open in your area, man, beat feet out there and get to it, because I'm telling you, this will change your life. Yeah. It's thought-provoking. It is thought-provoking. And it's an incredible, incredible journey that these folks have been on. Thank you so very, very much. Ricky, God bless you, your wife, 5 kids, and the dog.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, listen, check in with me every so many weeks, will you? And let me know how your insanity level is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I will. I'll call you at 4 a.m.
That'll work, because I'm up about 4
o'clock
in the morning. So give me a buzz. All righty.
All right, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, each and every one of you, taking the time to tune in. Check us out on Wednesday night. We'll be having Ryan McCormick out of New York City, and he'll be giving us all the skinny on Ellen DeGeneres and the scandal, whatever you want to call it, but all that scoop and stuff. He'll be giving us all that stuff, amongst some other things. And then on Friday night, Cass Clayton, a beautiful young lady out of Denver, Colorado, who is the head of the Cass Clayton Band, will be with us. We've had her on the radio shows before. We featured her music. She's coming back. She'll be here with a live stream. And then immediately after the live stream, we're shooting to the radio, and we're going to bring her on the radio, and we're going to feature her latest music. So we're going to have a busy, busy night on Friday night. So full week. Wow. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you so very much. Stay in touch, bud. Please stay.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, boys and girls, we'll see you later. And may God keep you right in the center of his hand. Good night, everybody.